Hello, I'm Natasha Compton and I'm a member of the Solihull Parent Carer Forum. I joined in May last year and I'm going to talk to you today about the Reasonable Adjustment Survey that we've recently done. Whilst in meetings within Solihull, the committee recognised that reasonable adjustments were mentioned often and decided it was an important topic to gain parental voice on. Under the Equality Act 2010, educational providers have a duty to make reasonable adjustments to make sure disabled students are not discriminated against. Some examples of reasonable adjustments include providing pupils with extra time for exams or tests, changes to uniform policies, time out for things like assembly, and allowing pupils to arrive later, etc. Disability Rights UK have an animated introduction to the Equality Act on their website, along with a comprehensive list of possible reasonable adjustments. The SEN Tribunal investigate reasonable adjustment claims based on lack of reasonable adjustments. My reasonable adjustment today is my presentation notes, without which I wouldn't be able to present to you as I would be too anxious. Often reasonable adjustments are small and they have little or no cost to them. We designed a survey to investigate the effectiveness of Solihull's educational providers, primary, secondary, post-16, mainstream and special use of reasonable adjustments for children with SEN or a disability. I graduated from the University of Birmingham this December with a master's degree in autism. As part of the degree, I had to write a research dissertation. I chose parental experiences of the EHCP process and I got a merit for it and I enjoyed doing it. I was excited therefore to work on another mini research type project for the forum. The survey was designed with the help of all the committee members. It opened to parents on the 1st of October and closed on the 31st. We promoted the link on our own social media platforms, Facebook, Twitter, and also asked schools to send the link to parents. With GDPR in mind, we made sure answers were anonymous, no personal data was requested, and we turned off IP addresses. We included a summary at the start of the survey to inform potential participants what the study was aiming to achieve, what was involved, and confirm their right to withdraw at any time. We left our email address in case of any questions or comments, and we also left a closing message which confirmed again the purpose of the study, their right to withdraw. Some people named the school setting, but we did not ask for this information. The data collected was stored on a password-protected laptop. 209 people took part in the study, which we are really pleased about. Out of this, the majority found the survey from our own promotional survey link. 17% followed the link from a school's promotion. From the 209 participants that took place, 47% answered the question in respect of a mainstream primary setting. We only had one participant answer in respect of a mainstream post-16 provision and 2 in respect of a specialist post-16 provision. We had 10% of participants complete the survey in respect of special primary and 10% in respect of special secondary. As you can see, most people replied regarding the mainstream primary setting. 91% of people said their child had a confirmed special educational need or disability, and 42% said their child already had an EHCP, with a further 20% currently going through the process of obtaining a plan. We had 7% complete the survey saying their child did not have a SEN or a disability, and 2% were not sure. The questions we asked were both open-ended and closed questions to obtain both qualitative and quantitative data, which has been suggested to be more useful in research, and we thought that having both open-ended questions and closed questions would give us more detail and would be able to compare percentage and numbers and also have more in-depth data with the open-ended questions. We used a Likert scale type question asking for parental opinions, which consisted of 14 statements, which participants had to say whether they strongly agreed, neither agreed, disagree, or strongly disagree with. Likert scale type questions are very popular with researchers to find opinions and views, but like any research methodology, there are limitations which I'll talk about later on. Our main findings were that 71% agreed that they were aware of the duty to provide reasonable adjustments under the Equality Act, but only half felt that their child's class teacher was aware of this duty. Just over half the participants said their child's setting regularly implements reasonable adjustments, and 43% said they were happy with their school's implementation of reasonable adjustments. "44% confirmed they had requested reasonable adjustments from a setting which had been refused or not happened. This is a high number when you consider it's a legal requirement under the Equality Act 2010 to do so. 44% also confirmed there'd been a negative impact on their child due to the lack of reasonable adjustments. We found that far less people who had recently moved schools were happy with their implementation of reasonable adjustments than any other setting type. This suggested to us that reasonable adjustments may be the reason or part of the reason for the change in placement, and shows the importance of getting these small and often cost-free adjustments in place for the child. This graph represents how many participants felt that their child's teacher was aware of the importance of reasonable adjustments. Half agreed or strongly agreed that their child's class teacher was aware of the importance. This one shows how many people felt their local authority are aware of the importance of reasonable adjustments. Only 37% felt that the LA was aware of how important they are. 27% believe that their child's school place was under threat of breaking down as a result of unsuccessful implementation of reasonable adjustments. We found that participants felt that both mental health and school attendance were both affected by unsuccessful implementation of reasonable adjustments. Out of the 209 participants, 92 said that their child's mental health had been adversely affected. 43% said they were happy with their school's implementation of reasonable adjustments. The open-ended questions were optional, and 146 decided to comment with positive stories around reasonable adjustments. For the open-ended questions and qualitative data, we went through the responses and we used common themes using a similar method to the one I did with my dissertation. We heard how the implementation of reasonable adjustments had a positive impact on children's education, such as, reasonable adjustments have made the difference to my daughter's entire school day, and reasonable adjustments have helped me to support my son who has extremely high levels of anxiety. Without these, I think we'd have a school refusing altogether. Unfortunately, we also heard from participants with not so good experiences, including ones that have been requested and not happened or refused altogether. For example, toilet pass was requested but not put into place, the ability to leave the classroom during lessons if anxious or overstimulated, and not allowed to wear ear defenders. 12% said they complained to the council specifically in regard to reasonable adjustments, and 3% said it was the main reason for their child being educated out of borough. I can send a copy of these comments to anyone who would like them. You need to email the Solihull Parent Carer Forum and request those. I can also send a copy of the slides, and we consider those requests by the main Solihull Parent Carer Forum email address. We asked participants what the local authority could do to improve educational settings' implementation of reasonable adjustments. We had 125 people suggest ways in which the LA could help, including more support for mental health. EHCP plan evidence was refused because school didn't recognise my child's anxiety and therefore believed that they didn't need reasonable adjustments. Get schools to recognise the importance of reasonable adjustments and the fact they often do not cost any money. Inform schools that these are legal obligations. Publish a list of common reasonable adjustments. We also had suggestions such as listen to parents as they know their child best, stop schools adding pressure about attendance as a child's mental health and emotional well-being are far more important, help to make parents more aware of their children's rights, produce clear guidelines, maybe a parental request form to request reasonable adjustments, provide procedures for parents to follow if they feel their school are not making appropriate reasonable adjustments, and training for schools. As with any research, there are limitations, and these need to be considered when looking at the results. For example, the Likert scale methodology assumes opinions can be measured on a scale, and there is research to say that some participants avoid either end of the scale and stick to the middle. Also, we had more responses from mainstream primary than any other setting, so it makes it hard to compare. We had very few responses in regard to post-16 provision, and some participants didn't understand the term reasonable adjustments despite having the description at the start. There is also the possibility that people are more likely to respond to the survey if they are unhappy. There is also the possibility of research bias, as maybe we were looking for a particular result, and this can be reflected in the questions that we asked as well as the questions that we did not ask in the survey. However, we feel that this study can form the basis of further investigation into the important topic and provide suggestions for improvement to practice and policies such as the ones suggested by parents. Thank you for listening to our survey results on reasonable adjustments. If you would like any further information, do contact the Solihull Parent Carer Forum. Thank you.